Two players walk into a 3-minute blitz game. One is rated 1600, the other is pushing 955. And the 955 player is about to play the most optimistic bishop move I have ever seen. Pawn to d4. Standard. Pawn to d5. Also standard. Knight out. Fine. Pawn to e6. Solid. Black knows what they're doing. Bishop to f4. London system. Textbook. Bishop to d6. And already black is threatening to take the bishop for free. That's the problem with the London at this level. You play the system, but the system doesn't play itself. Pawn to e3. White defends. Crisis averted. Bishop takes on f4, and black trades. Equal exchange. Nothing to see here. Pawn recaptures, and white gets the bishop back. We're still even. Queen to d6, and now black eyes that pawn on f4. A reminder that it's still undefended. Queen to d2. White finally covers it. Knight to f6. Developing. Fine. Bishop to d3. Standard development. Pawn to h6. And that's an inaccuracy. A little slow. Black could have been doing something more useful. White castles. Both sides settled in. Knight to d7. Another inaccuracy. Black's development is drifting. Nothing aggressive happening. And here's where white gets ideas. Pawn to f5. A mistake. White looks at the center and thinks, I'm going to attack. But this pawn push weakens everything around it. And that pawn on f5, it's going to matter later. Black castles. And that's also a mistake. They missed the chance to play knight to e4, which would have been annoying for white. Both sides are just moving pieces. Pawn takes on e6. And now white's pawn sits on e6, completely undefended. Black can take it for free. Black recaptures with the f-pawn. That's the wrong pawn. The queen should have taken here. But black chooses the f-pawn, and that leaves the b2 pawn undefended for later. Planting a seed no one sees yet. Queen to e2, threatening the pawn on e6 again. White is trying. And now black plays e5. This is a blunder. It's the road idea. 3 moves too late. But here it just opens the center for white. Black gives white a gift. Pawn takes on e5. And look at that. The pawn on e5 is forking the queen and the knight. Black's in trouble. Knight takes on e5. Black saves the knight, but now white has a winning advantage. This should be the end of the story. Knight takes on e5. White trades knights. It's fine. Still winning. Rook to e8, pinning the knight to the queen. Black is fighting back. And here's where white crumbles. Rook to e1, a blunder. White had a winning position. All they had to do was push f4, block the knight. Instead, they give black a knight fork on g4 that hits the queen and the rook. Knight to g4. Black sees it. The knight attacks the queen and the knight on e5. White's position is collapsing, and this is the moment. Bishop to b5. White decides that instead of defending the knight, they'll go bishop shopping. Attack the rook on e8. Black just takes it. White is so focused on their own attack that they forgot they had pieces that could be captured. The knight on e5 is free. Rook takes on e5. The knight is gone. White's winning advantage has evaporated. Queen takes on g4. White grabs the knight, and now the queen is hanging, completely undefended. Black can take it for free. This is catastrophic. Bishop takes on g4. Black takes the queen. But black makes a mistake too. They should have taken the rook on e1 first with check. Instead, the bishop takes. Pawn to f3, and white attacks the bishop. But look, the rook on e1 is now hanging. Black can take it. Rook takes on e1 with check. Black does take the rook. And now white's king is exposed. The game is effectively over. King to f2. White escapes the check. But now the rook on e1 is free. Queen to c5 with check. And the queen also attacks the bishop on b5. Black is doubling up. King takes on e1. White gets the rook back. But the bishop on b5 is now undefended. Queen takes on b5. The bishop is gone. Black is up a queen. Pawn takes on g4. White finally takes the bishop, but it's too little, too late. Queen takes on b2. And there it is, the payoff from move 20. That f-pawn recapture left b2 undefended, and now black's queen is feasting on white's queenside. Knight to d2. White tries to protect, but the rook on a1 is hanging. Queen takes on a1 with check. The rook is gone. Black is completely winning. King to e2. Running. Rook to e8 with check. Black keeps the pressure on. King to f2. Still running. Queen to e1 with check. And now black threatens mate. King to f3. Running again. Queen to e2 with check. Still chasing. King to g3. White's king is being herded. Queen takes on d2. The knight is gone. White has nothing left but pawns and a king. King to h4. White's king starts climbing the board. This is desperate. Pawn to g5 with check. Black tightens the net. King to h5. White's king is now on the 5th rank, surrounded by enemy pieces. King to g7. Black's king gets out of the way. Pawn to h4. White tries to create an escape square. Queen takes on g2. And now the king's pawn shield is gone. Pawn takes on g5. White fights back. Rook to e5. Black threatens mate. King to h4. White's king retreats. Rook takes on g5. The pawn shield is gone. Pawn to a4. White's last move, a desperate shuffle. Queen takes on g4. Checkmate. And there it is. Remember that pawn on f5 from move 9? And the pawn on f3 from move 17? Those two pawns created a cozy little prison for White's king. Black's queen walks in, takes the last pawn, and White's king has nowhere to go. The f-pawns were the walls.